Hi guys, how are you doing? May I present to you a friend of mine. This is Mr. Frog. He will be joining us today. And by the end of this video, I will show you where you can find him as well. I just hope Alex Jones doesn't show up. He seems to have a thing for frogs. Let's quickly get into the episode before he shows up. Just a quick reminder, all of the code I cover in my videos can be found on GitHub. Each episode will have its own branch. There's also a Discord server for this channel. Come in and say hello. If you wish to go the extra mile to support my work, you can do that on my Buy My Coffee page or becoming a member here on YouTube. Links can be found in the description below. Like we always do when we start a new episode, is to just check where we are in the game. So let's run this and see the current state. And today we want to add objects into our game. Just static ones and be able to place them wherever we want. And of course we want a couple of different ones. We just don't want one object, we want more. So that is what we're going to do. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. Let's begin by looking at the image I have prepared with all the objects that we're going to add today. This is the image that we're going to use. I took a couple of ones from the big picture or the big atlas with a lot of different types and placed them here. We don't have to add everything. We just need to add a couple of ones so we know the process of adding objects into our game. So we got a couple of statues here, some pillars, some baskets with food in it, and so on. All of these are going to be added today. And the way we're going to do it is by saying that the pillar starts at a position. Let's take a look in GIMP so we can see a little bit more what values we are looking for. So for example, this pillar right here, which is this that I marked, it has the starting position of 0 in X and 6 in Y. It's 16 in width and 42 in height. So that's something we then add to a Enum, for example. And whenever we load it, then we use that values to get the image on this atlas. And for example, Mr. Frog here, let's take a look where he is located. He's located at 48. Oops, didn't mean to do that. But yeah, he's located at 48, 38, and he is 32 in width and 26 in height. And so on. And all of these is going to be added, and then we can then of course draw it and place them wherever we want. So let's go ahead and start building the enum that's going to contain all the information for our objects. But first we're going to actually need to import this image into our res folder here. So let's open this one up. And I already have it, but you're going to find this one on GitHub in the link in the description below. We're just going to drag it into the res folder here. Nope, I meant the drawable folder. Then of course, okay, I already have it, so yeah, let's override it. It's the same anyways. And next we will build the enum. This enum is gonna be similar to our buildings enum here. Right now we just have one house, but we're gonna need a X and Y position and width and height. We're gonna need a house, not a house image, but a image to store that specific sprite. And then of course we have the methods already ready to be used to get a scaled image, but also just a part of the actual image. And then we'll need a getter. I don't think we're gonna have, we're not gonna have the hitbox in the enum, I don't think. No, but yeah, let's just go ahead and see where it leads. So in our entities package, we can add a Java class. Make sure it's enum and then game objects. Objects with an S. And then we're gonna implement, what did we call it? Bitmap methods, right? Yes, we did. Down here in some other episode a long time ago. And let's just create the game objects. And we're gonna ask for a int x, int y, int width, if I can spell correctly, width, int height. And this of course are the position and size on the actual sprite or on the atlas that we just imported. Let's go ahead and add our first type here. I'm just going to make some simple 1, 0, 0, 0, just to get the errors away. All right, and then we can begin by storing an image. So bitmap with big bitmap. What we're going to call it? Object image. Yes. And this image we are gonna create almost the same as we do with our house here. So first we need an atlas from everything, so we can just copy that, why not? And paste it there. And I saw something else. Options.inScaled, we need to set false. We can minimize this and then can add some space there. And of course for our drawable we are asking for our world objects, which is where we have all our objects. Yes, that looks correct. And then we can go to our buildings again and just copy this to get the sprites from that. That is not house image, but it's object image, XY, width and height. Yeah, that looks correct. Anything else? Not for now, but we do need a getter for the actual image then, whenever we want to draw it, of course. So public bitmap get object image. Yeah, that's good. So let's figure out our type here so we get the correct position and also width and height. And let's go to our GIMP here and let's begin by just adding this pillar. That pillar starts at 0, 6 for positions, so let's go ahead and place that 0 and then 6. Width and height 16 and 42. So just 16 and 42. And we can probably call it something else than just object. We can call it pillar yellow. And that is now our first object. And of course we have a lot more here. But let's begin by just adding one, and then we can add more a little bit later in this episode. So I think this class now is done. And let's go ahead and add the actual object class. And I think we can get away with a very small class for our objects, at least to begin with. Because we have our superclass, if you will, entity. We have a hitbox, we have is it active, we have position, width and height for the actual how big it is, etc. And we create the hitbox with that and so on. So what we can do is in our entities class is just to add a class and we can call it game object. So objects is the enum and then object is the class. Then we can say extends entity. And then we create the constructor to match. We're going to do some changes here because the width and height we get from our game objects type. So we can just say that we want a game objects object type, or say not game object but say object type. Yeah, that's good. And of course we want to store this, so game objects object game object object type. All right. And we then say, what do we say? For width, we say width to get object image. No, we actually need to store width and height in our enum here. So int width and height. We then just say, give simples this dot width equals width, this dot height equals height. Simple as that. And in here we just then say dot width objects type dot height. And now we have width and height with the position. So we're going to keep position because we need to say that it needs to be here or needs to be there and so on. And we of course need to store this. So this dot object type equals object type. And we need a getter when we want to draw it later, so we can get the actual image from the Enum. And I think that's all we need for our game object. We have a position, then we create a hitbox with width and height, we store the object, and we can get the image. Yeah, we don't need more. Let's go ahead and see if we can draw it, or at least our pillar yellow. So into our map manager, right? Because this is the class where we draw the tiles and buildings. Yeah, so we want to draw objects. And now at least we're going to put the objects on top of the buildings if there is more than one. But I'm not sure if we're going to keep the objects above the buildings or below. It's something we have to figure out later. But now we just want to see it in game. Does it work? Did the import work? And so on. So let's go ahead and create this method. And I kind of want to cut it and put it here, right above the building, so we can see easier. So first we are going to need a array list in our current map, which is a game map. So in here, yeah, we're gonna need one. Let's just go ahead and add it. We're gonna need an array list for it. Game object and game objects array list. Yeah, that's fine. And in our constructor here, we will need a array list just like this one. So let's just go ahead and copy this, or rather that part. Right after buildings, I think. Yeah. So after buildings and before skeleton or enemies. Probably gonna be enemies later, but right now we only have skeletons, but yeah. And then we wanna say here this dot game object array list equals game object array list. Nothing new there, and of course we are going to need a getter, so we can just put it on underneath there. Public array list get. Yes, thank you for coding that out for me, Mr. Android Studio, or whatever you are. And yeah, the map manager back here. We're gonna have some errors down here because they don't have these objects array list, but we're gonna get to them soon. But yeah, first we want to make sure that if the array list is null, then don't try to draw from it. So current map dot get objects array list is not equal to null, then we can draw it. So for game object geo or go current map dot get list. Yeah, then c dot draw bitmap, and let's just go ahead and copy, because I don't think there's much difference here. No, it's not. We need the geo to get the actual building type, but we need to get the get object type dot get object image, and then for position we go geo dot get position. Oh, we have a getter for the position, I see, and we store it here for building. But our game object is storing it in what? In entity, so hitbox, I guess we're gonna have to go. Yeah. So not dot get position, but get hitbox left is X, and then go dot get hitbox dot top is Y. So we'll be drawn there. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that is looking fine. We have the draw call, yes. Now just the errors here, we can minimize that. And we are going to do the same as we do for the house. We're gonna create a array list. Array list for game object. Then game object array list, yeah, equals new array list. Array list, there we go. And then we're just gonna add to it. Game object array list dot add. New game object. New point. Where do we want it? 200, 200 is a house, so let's put it to the right. So 500 and 200. What do we want there? A pillar. So what do? We do game object pillar yellow. Yeah, that looks correct. And we're not going to have it in the inside map, so we're going to say null here. Maybe we should have pillars inside. Yeah, we can figure that out later. But for our outside, we want to put the pillar, so we're just going to pass in here game object array list. And that is all we need to do. Any errors? No. It looks correct. Let's see if we can start it, or is there errors or something. Launch successful, that's sweet. And we have a pillar, but it's on top of the house, so let's move it to the right. So instead of 500, let's go 600 and run it again. But yeah, it worked. So we have a pillar, but we can run on the pillar, but that's something we're going to figure out later, how to be able to be behind it and also in front of it, depending on the player's position. But yeah, this is good. Now we have a pillar in the game. What's next? Well, we can add a lot more, or rather not a lot more, but we can add the rest of all of these objects. And I'm not going to sit here for like an hour to figure out each position and have them into the enum here. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. Where? Here. So I'm not going to take an hour adding them by recording, because I already have done that. So I'm just going to copy what I have here. Gonna copy all of this text. Copy. And I'm going to place them underneath here. And where are you? There we go. So we have all of these already figured out, the size and X and Y. I haven't tested them all, but I'm pretty sure they're all correct. So we can add some more into the game now. And all of this can be found on GitHub, so you don't have to pause the video and type this all yourself. Let's add more though. So we have the pillar. Let's copy this one. Add a few more. Let's add what do we have? Let's add, we need the angry statue. Let's see what it was called. Angry statue angry yellow. Okay. Here, so angry statue yellow. Let's add him a little bit further down, so 400. Let's add another one actually. And add him 400 too, or 400 as well, but a little bit more to the right. So let's go 1,000. Yeah. What else can we add? We can add, Mr. Frog, of course. Let's add his brother, the green frog as well. Also. So, frog, we had yellow, and then we had frog green. Let's put them in front of the house. House is 600, 200. No, that's where we have those. So let's put them... No, 200 is the house. My bad. 200x, and then 200 there, and then we just need to go down a bit. So let's go 350. I think this is going to be good. Now they are on top of each other. 200, 550, maybe. I'm not sure. It could work. What else? We can add the basket. Let's see. Basket. That looks like red. Something inside. Not sure what it's supposed to be, but let's see what we have. Red basket full red fruit. That's what I named it. Yeah. Let's add it 100 and 100. So above a little bit. Might be in the house, but we'll see. Let's go 50-50 actually. And the last one, we can add a oven. This one. Snow oven something. Snow oven, snow yellow, yeah. Let's add it 800 and then 800. Alright, let's see all of those new objects if they are found and can be displayed in the game. they are. So we have 2 frogs. One is covering the entrance or above it. We have the fruit basket. And we have the frog's brother. We have the furnace or the oven. And 2 angry statues. And yeah, this was not that difficult. We have done pretty much the same with the house. But now there's objects. And yeah, there you go. That's how you add objects to the game. Alright, that wasn't so bad. Most of the code we had for our buildings can be used in this one as well when it comes to objects. Of course, we have more work to do with our objects before they are considered finished, but that's going to be happening in the next episode. I hope to see you there. Until the next one, take care now and have a wonderful day. Cheers.